hammer's about to drop. The hammer is about to drop. Okay, I've been cluing old Yannick in. There's a dude up in Canada. Been taking some of the stuff I've been saying about depth to heart, and many of the things that you'll never read about in any photography magazine or on any photography blog, because photographers and what they know about field theory is about like this. It's nothing. And I made some videos on microcontrast, intertonal transmission, things that affect it, and there are many variables. Ultimately, you got 6 different attributes. You got luminal depth and you have spatial depth. And talking about the 6 attributes of microcontrast or intertonal transmission to be recorded, things like perceptual depth, rendered depth, compositional depth, depth as rendered via bokeh, and then 2 additional factors, which was shooting in 14-bit instead of 12-bit, and one last thing was larger photo site and how that affects depth. As I've said before, and really nobody takes this to heart. By the way, Yannick's, he showed me a couple of the pictures that he took. I can't show you. They're his pictures, so I'll wait for him to publish his article this weekend, he said, taking some of the stuff I said to heart. He's published stuff over on Diaper and P Review, and he's got them all worked up over there, except they're agreeing with him because he's got the evidence. And, he's been, not just saying, taking what I say, and agreeing with it. He's been testing it, and the testing has kind of blown him away, some more than others, but all of it valid. And the same thing that applies when someone asks a question like this 12 megapixel camera. I've actually heard this for years, like versus a 24 megapixel, current D750, or like a 24 megapixel Nikon D7100. People think it's about this is a really important factor, and it should be right up there with megapixels. Megapixels are ultimately important. If you're a bird shooter, you're going to crop the hell out of your shot. Then you got more translational data due to pixel pitch when you crop your shot. So a high megapixel camera, photo site density, like a D7100 instead of like a 36 megapixel Nikon D810, the scaled up version of a D7100 sensor, for example, would be 56 megapixels. So you have more translational data per square millimeter on the sensor on the D7100 than you do the D810 even. But what is as important as that, not for bird shooting, but for like portraiture and capturing low light scenes where, say you got a piece of weathered wood, and I'm going to do a video on this soon, because that's one of my favorite testing tools. People see color correction charts for testing lenses and color correcting shots. One of the neatest things, and I've got resolution charts for testing micro lens contrast, is a piece of driftwood or old weathered cracked barnwood. It's absolutely amazing. Anyway, Yannick's going to publish the article this weekend, but the important thing that I've been telling him and telling you is that when it comes to like radio and it comes to visual light and photography, the two and the technology that go with the two are one and the exact same thing. And when he publishes the article this weekend, he's going to blow a lot of people away. I shocked him by telling him that's what it was. He was asking me a question. He was taking a shot between D750 and D7100, and I won't get into the details. I won't, blow the lid off of it until he publishes his article this weekend. But the point is that you want native gain. What is native gain? I mean, how does native gain apply to full-frame photo sites here? This is a 12 megapixel Nikon D3. Why, for example, in low light, a shot that you're not going to crop? You got some woman standing up against a barn, for example, old driftwood, or, against the grass. Why does this shot look better from a 12 megapixel Nikon D3 than it does from a Nikon D810 at 36 megapixels? Obviously, you can't blow it up as big. You're going to have loss in details. So why would the D810 not be as good at 36 megapixels versus this one at 1/3 that at 12 megapixels? And the answer is photosite gain. There's a difference also between native gain and applied gain. I told you before that ISO is applied gain. You can, the camera will apply the gain, you crank up your ISO, it'll let you play with the exposures. I've said before, ISO is not exposure, ISO is not sensitivity. This is hardcore, irrefutable fact. So we got to talk about the native gain versus applied gain. And what the hell does a photosite have to do with this? Well, it means a lot when it comes to micro contrast. You can stick the best Zeiss lens on the front of a Nikon D810, but it's not going to have the same gain, the native gain, for intertonal transmission to the sensor as the same Zeiss lens, for example, with really good micro contrast, the same Zeiss lens on this Nikon D3. And the reason is that low intensity intertonal gain over the same period of time, so you're going to shake that shot at f4, 1/200th of a second. At ISO 2, it doesn't matter on the ISO. Same ISO, same shutter speed, same aperture. Why does the micro contrast look so much better from this 12 megapixel camera than it does on the Nikon D810? Assuming we're not going to crop the hell out of it, we're going to make 11:16 print, portraiture, you know, like this. We're not going to crop the piss out of it. We're not going to blow the hell out of it. Why does it look so much better on this? Native gain. The same reason a ham radio operator, I could have a Yagi antenna at 1/8 wave, which is an antenna about yay big, pointed at the exact same direction of the transmitter 30 miles away, line of sight in 144 megahertz. Okay, without applying any gain on my radio, which would be ISO knob. Instead of using that 1/8 wave 2 meter Yagi, I then bump it up to a 1/4 wave Yagi. Okay, pay attention. Okay, went from 1/8 wave to 1/4 wave. Much bigger antenna. Well, that's actually about yay big. I got a 1/4 wave in the back room back there. Much more native gain. That means if someone is whispering on the transmitter at 30 miles away, and I've got the Yagi, both antennas pointed there, you know, I'm still going to get the signal on both. But the finer detail of what is said, say someone is on the transmitter 30 miles away, and they're, you know, going off a nursery rhyme. You know, Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was what? It's whispering. I get the gist of the message either way. And it's the same difference between this Nikon D3, for example, or the Nikon D810. It's the same example, same difference as the native gain to photosite size, pixel pitch. Obviously, the technology is also improved in micro lenses that actually sit over top of the photosites. So, barring that improvement, which is certainly applicable, the nature of the fact is that the larger photos, so this is the reason why the Nikon D5 is only a 20 megapixel camera. It is designed for ultra low light. It is designed for maximum native gain. It's got some big ass honking photosites on the sensor. Yannick's going to post the difference between the Nikon D750 and the D7100. And he's going to talk some more. And he was asking, you know, why is the difference? And I said it's the same thing that applies to radio. Larger photosites, like dropping a bigger ass antenna out there. 1/4 wave instead of 1/8 wave. You know, they're both Yagis, they're both high efficiency, but you're talking the difference between 1/8 wave and 1/4 wave. Over the exact same period of time, exact same shutter speed, exact same ISO, same applied gain, or let's just assume no applied gain, let's just assume base native ISO. You're going to have better intertonal on the larger photosite than you will on the smaller photosite. You can't bring what doesn't exist to begin with in the raw file up in post. It's either exists there or it doesn't. You can make it a whole lot better. I mean, everybody knows you can improve a picture in post. Well, yeah, but to what point can you improve it? What do you have to crank it up to the point where you make it acceptable instead of taking something that is really awesome and then tweaking it? I mean, when you go from making something good to great, and the distance is this, and something is great to begin with, to really, really great, then you got the difference between here and here versus here and here, okay? This and that versus this and that. So, and this is something nobody talks about. This is one advantage of full-frame sensors. Now, things are changing, like the new Canon 5D, that's a 51 megapixel camera. This 4.14 micron photosite pixel pitch is basically a full-frame sensor with DX photosight. So that's a different beast. That's a different breed that is starting to enter the market. But it is, as it exists currently, other than that Canon anomaly, this is the advantage of full-frame sensors over DX. And the picture is stark. I can't show you Yannick's picture because I don't want to blow his surprise for this weekend. But I'll post a video up and post you a link to his blog. And so I let him off on this trail, and now he's off on this. And he's asking me, why does the D750 look so much better using the exact same lens, everything else, than the D7100? And that's the reason. Big ass honking photosights. There is absolutely not one damn bit of difference between radio and photography. Visible light and radio waves, the same crap. EMR, electromagnetic radiation. It's actually coaxial transverse with longitudinal dielectric. The nature of light really is not known by human beings until now. It's a coaxial circuit. I mean, your camera is no different than a radio receiver, except it's receiving millions of signals at once, millions of points of light. It's not tuning into one frequency at a time, but the irreducible fact is that it's exact same crap. All the technology that applies to radio also applies to photography. Same stuff. Native gain versus applied gain. And exposure. Now, leaving exposure out of it, which of course is really important. Same period of time, same aperture. Native gain versus applied gain. There's a big difference in native gain. Once the camera's made, the native gain is the native gain. The way it is the way it is. So, this is the difference between full-frame photosights and DX photosights. Anyway, we'll be checking his article this weekend, and now we know some new parameters that are really going to rock they are rocking the photography world. A lot of people are actually starting to see the light. Hallelujah, I can see the light. In this case, it's hallelujah, I can see the depth. Yeah, all from the fat tattooed guy. Right, thanks for watching. Catch you later. Boy!